Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sounds of New York with Aleena Kanner. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love that it started with a horn.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my first episodes was right down in the Flatiron district with my friend Jimmy from the Burn Studios. And there was like fire trucks. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I love this.
It's part of the vibe.
It's part of the
Part of
vibe.
the vibe.
It's part of the vibe. What I want to start out, I've been doing this lately. What did you do for your wellness routine this morning? Or you can give us an average morning if maybe one morning this week was more fun.
Sure. Well, I don't live in New York City, which is really nice. I live by the beach. So I live underneath Long Island by the beach. I live a block and a half away from the beach. And it's been such a nice October. So today I woke up, I'm getting over a little cold. So I was like, I need to go outside, get myself some sunlight. And even though it was kind of getting to a little bit rainy, cloudy skies, I still went outside. Sometimes I'll go walk in the sand. Today I didn't. I just walked on the boardwalk, but I probably walked half a mile. And then I came back home, had my breakfast, went to go work out, and now we're recording. But I do like to do red light in the morning too. I didn't have a chance to do that today. Sometimes I also sauna. Just depends on the day. But those are like my staples. I try to do one of those things like throughout the week. So if I didn't do one today, tomorrow I'll either red light, the next day I'll sauna. I try to do 2 or 3 sort of just biohacking tools at some point in my week.
Bioregulatory, biohacking, whatever we want to call them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had a great morning. I have a new tool here. I have a device called the Bimini, which I blew up my Instagram last night. It's a machine that hyperoxygenates your bathtub water. It's
Cool.
It's where I'll be basically living like for all winter long.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The winter that you don't get in Texas.
I know. No, truly, I love the winter down here. I think it's like my favorite time to be outside because the oppressive 110 degrees can be brutal on your energy when you're trying to do things in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool tool for the bathtub. I just got a new tool also.
What'd you get?
This Avant laser. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
It's a pricey laser. It's probably like this big. It's small, and you can take it with you. And I'm going to use it in the clinic on patients. And like I said, I was getting over some sickness. So they have crazy settings in there. They have every single setting you can imagine. And they're presets so that there's different wavelengths according to what setting you choose. So I did acute pain, I did Epstein-Barr virus, I did inflammation, I did immune system, all on different points of my body the last few days. Acupuncture points as well as just points that I felt would be useful. And it's helpful.
What would you tell the audience is like the value proposition of the Avant laser? Like, why did you go with that one?
Well, first of all, a lot of people in my profession are using it, and I saw some of the changes that people are getting with their patients. So I decided this would be a really solid purchase for me in my practice. But I think the biggest thing that people might not realize, like one laser might be better than the other, is definitely how much output it's giving, the wavelengths. Like for this, it's so customizable. But also with this one specifically, the whole goal is to increase ATP and to have your mitochondria absorb that red and infrared light. And with this specific laser, it's proven that it works. This laser's been out on the market for 20 years. So it's been well researched, well read, well used. And for me, I'm trusting a lot of the information I've read, a lot of the people I've talked to. I sat on this purchase for a few months, but I'm really glad I did it. And I'm excited to use it in the clinic. I don't think it's necessarily something that people just buy on their own. I'm sure people out there just bought it to use it. But I think if you really know what you're doing with it, and I'm still learning, I'm definitely not an expert in this. It's going to take me a while to really learn how to use it, learn how to test what people need. But I think the practitioners that know what they're doing with it, they get significant results. And that's what I'm looking towards doing.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Bravo for waiting on your purchase.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think that's so smart. We got into not a debate yesterday, but I made a post about the molecular hydrogen industry and how every doctor, it's like, I have the best hydrogen machine. And I'm like, guys, everybody's selling the same machine. It's $800. You're selling it for $7,000 to $15,000. Here's where it comes from. Let me show you a picture.
Oh my God.
Two people were like, I can't believe this. I was like, this is what happens. Just pause. That's all you need
Yeah.
to do. Just pause, see what you want. What does your body need? What's broken in the physiology? Why do you think this is a fix? Let's make sure that's appropriate. And then, I say go for warranty, go for people. I usually buy from people I like, and I go for a warranty. What happens when things go sideways with technology? Because technology breaks.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely took my time on this because I've noticed about myself if I jump on a purchase, that's usually the wrong decision. Like if I've ever
Yeah.
jumped with marketing teams and different photography and things like that, if I jump and I do it in an impulsive fashion, I almost always regret it.
Mm.
So, I mean, I just did it 2 days ago. I jumped on something and I was like, oh my God, at least it was only like $50, but still
Oh,
now
you're
with
good
like,
for 50.
yeah, for 50, it's like, okay, I wanted somebody to help me with some TikTok and I was like, no, this isn't good. But you have to make a lot of decisions when you have your own business. And I have learned to be patient, sit on it, wait, and then make the decision.
Let's talk about that business. If we bumped into each other in Whole Foods, what would you tell me that you do?
Well, you'd be wearing blue blockers, so I definitely come up to you.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes.
My little spiel that I tell people is that I work with dentists and optometrists to really help people heal from the root cause approach. So I look at the nervous system, I look at asymmetry of the body, and then I work with other professional fields to help with any sort of asymmetry and pain. Most people that are have a lot of external asymmetry, they also have pain going on in their body. So for me, asymmetry and pain go hand in hand. And I need to work with these other providers, not always, but with some certain cases that are more complicated. And we can influence the nervous system through the sensory system. So you're looking through a pair of lenses right now. What you wear on your eyes is going to influence how your body moves in space. How your teeth touch every time you chew, every time you bite is going to influence how your body understands space, understands proprioception, your center of mass, how your feet hit the floor, how your diaphragm is able to move through full range of motion, or maybe not, or maybe it's doing one thing on one side of your body and something else on the other side. Those are the big components from a sensory system that I'm looking for.
Do you have and obviously what you said, because I know you, that your talents and your trade has evolved over time, what you do, how you assist, how you work kind of as a consultant. Is there a label you give yourself? Like right now I'm not like running labs and coaching, but I am many times working as a consultant or like a wellness concierge. So what would you say?
Yeah, I just did Jabin Moore's podcast like 2 weeks ago, and he was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm calling you a neuromuscular scientist. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I might go with that. But my background is I'm a certified athletic trainer, which
Mm-hmm.
means I went to graduate school, have a master's degree in the ability to be a healthcare professional who works on the sidelines of sports teams, helps them with their injuries, helps pre and post surgical care, injury rehab, all of that. And after school, I went and studied one specific modality called postural restoration. So I do all those things, but I did like the neuromuscular scientist. I was like, maybe I should brand that. So thinking about it.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
something there.
I agree.
Certainly for when you start to educate and train people on what you do, to
Yeah.
trademark,
Yeah.
what it is to do the Aleena Kanner way. I'm always fascinated by your content that you put out online. It's really interesting the small changes that come from a bite pattern, rib cage adjustment that impact physiology. So I know you just said that you may look at someone's bite or their rib cage or their gait or their asymmetry and how that impacts pain. how do you look at a body? Like, what does that initial assessment look like?
Yeah. So I always take pictures of every one of my patients. I take profile pictures, so standing in every just different direction. And even though it's a split second in time, it does give me a lot of insight into what's going on in that person's body, because that's essentially how they hold themselves. And how you hold yourself tells me where your center of mass is, tells me a lot about your system. And then I can always compare it after we do 2 sessions together, what you look like now. And we do see some significant changes. Some people, I'll take pictures of their faces, especially if I see asymmetry, just to
Mm,
see if we can make some changes there. So I always start with images, and then I look at things like a squat test, a very simple squat test to see, can you squat down, and with certain specific cues, can you breathe at the bottom of the squat? I'm looking at, can you touch your toes? And then I usually lay somebody onto a table, have them do a bunch of passive range of motion tests. Now, these tests they just look like range of motion tests, but I'm actually assessing the nervous system. So I'm a very nervous system oriented person. I'm not just looking, oh, if I bring your arm down, do you have more range of motion or less range of motion? I'm looking at the fact that when I'm looking at your arm, I'm looking at how well you can breathe into your rib cage. So I'm looking a
mm,
lot at respiration, and I'm taking in what I get from my tests and pairing it with my postural, facial, and body asymmetry. And I kind of go from there.
yeah. I always think of you when I now I look at people, I just from following your content, I take note of Gait all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's happening in that person's life? It's like, it's literally like kind of looking in the Matrix. You're like, oh, they popped out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then I really notice people's eyes. I notice like when we smile, some people have like a natural, really closed, squinty eye. And I'm like always wondering, I'm like, is that pelvic floor? Is that their gait? Is that their bite pattern? You can see these changes showing up. And maybe it wasn't that way like when you knew them in high school or something. So you can see these subtle shifts in the terrain if you have the right
Yeah.
lenses on.
I can touch on the squinty eye specifically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
let's
people
do it.
people do ask me about that. So we typically will see it on a left eye, not as much on a right
Mm,
eye. That doesn't mean it can't happen on a right eye. It just means we
yeah.
see it more on a left eye, and it's more common on a left eye. It is better if I see it on a left eye than a right eye. A squinty right eye means there's typically some head injury component to that. When we see that squinty eye, it's giving me insight on the position of the sphenoid bone, which is a bone that sits right behind our eyes. It looks like a
Mm,
butterfly, and it's giving me position or giving me insight on the temporal bones, which articulate with the sphenoid bones. They're on right and left side. And
mm-hmm,
we'll typically see a position going on where one temporal bone is in a state of what we call external rotation and one is in a state of internal rotation. And then there's this like triplanar motion of the sphenoid bone where it's torqued. And so when I see a squinty left eye, sometimes it is it's bite that has influenced it. Sometimes
mm-hmm.
it's vision that's influenced it. I almost always see, anytime I see a lot of vision going on, there's usually a bite component too. Um, but yeah, the dental occlusion, so how the teeth touch, how the bottom teeth come up to touch the top teeth, is a big influence on the entire cranium.
Mm,
And for whatever reason, dentists in school are taught that the cranial bones are once they close at I think 16 years old, they stay that way. And that's just not the case. That's Craniosacral therapists wouldn't have a profession if that was the case, because their whole profession is literally about moving the cranial bones. And it's such slight, small movement, the same way the
mm,
SI joint has such slight, small movement. But you can influence these squinty eyes with things like craniosacral, things like what I do, which is looking at the whole body, doing respiration, changing somebody's footwear. I mean, I've seen patients change in one session. It might not be fully open, but we're going to see more evenness throughout their eyes because we change position of the sphenoid. So there's an
mm,
underlying asymmetry. You're seeing the external component when you see a squinty eye, but that just tells me underneath it all, there is an asymmetry happening at the sphenoid, temporal bones, possibly mandible. And once we get into a better balanced position, things can change externally.
100%. So I'll just share my experience with the audience. There's a couple times in my life where I've seen cranial sacral, and I literally did a head turn. I'm like, they do what with the plates and the thing. One was I was playing a role. I was playing a role. James Cagney had a pretty strong affect to his dialect, and I'm doing this for 2.5 hours every show, and I was getting, my jaw would get so tight that I would have like shooting pains. And this woman, not through physical therapy, she was adjusting the plates in my head to allow me to let the character go, like to let the energetics go. And I would walk out of the office like 90% better. And I couldn't feel her other than her hands being on my head. There was no move, she's not like moving around plates in my head. She's not doing anything crazy. It's all right. You muted. You're good. It's good. I can mark.
Okay, perfect. I tried to because I'm coming off sickness. I was like, I know it's coming. I could feel it the whole time I was talking.
I love it. For those people at home, she just muted for a cough.
I muted for a cough, yes.
You muted for a cough. This woman would like touch my head. There was no, like, I couldn't necessarily feel her doing anything, but sure enough, there was like movement happening. I was getting these unbelievable emotional releases. I was getting a change in the physiology. And the other time is when I went through a bout of insomnia after a plant medicine journey. And my body was so rigid, and the woman's like, stand up against the wall. And she had me stand, and she's like, now try to lean over and touch your toes. And I couldn't, because like I was pushing my butt back to be able to bend forward, like I was hinging. And she's like, you should be able to roll right down and touch your toes without getting into that wall. And so she worked on me for half an hour, and sure enough, I stood up. I could do it. And she goes, Freddie, I'm not lying. You are at least a half inch taller, right? And I felt it. I'm like, I feel so tall. It was wild. So I'm a huge fan of cranial sacral.
Yeah. A lot of what I do with the postural restoration education also it's taken info from craniosacral. I have yet to take a craniosacral course. I actually did sign up for one in Baltimore earlier this year, and then I had to change it. It was just the timing didn't work out. So it's on my radar. It's something I'll do in the future. But I hear that all the time with even the work I do. People are like, I feel taller. I feel different. I can touch my toes. All these different changes. It's because your sensory system was influenced and your nervous system was influenced. So those two go hand in hand. The sensory system is going to influence that nervous system to be able to relax, let go, get into parasympathetic.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's fascinating, I just went to work with an NFL team last week. And one thing they're trying out with some of the players is this new bite guard that protects them from, they're like, I forgot what the percentage, it's a ridiculous percentage of protection against concussions with this bite guard. And then the other thing it does, it's a 13 to 22% increase in grip strength. From this bite guard, like some type of a specialized new patented guard. But I thought of you and your work when I heard that.
That's funny. That's really interesting. I don't think those companies even really understand the physiology behind what they're doing. But when you take somebody out of their bite, let's say somebody has a malocclusion, meaning their bite doesn't align properly, and you put something in between their top and bottom teeth. And for example, this guard, it gives them probably flatness. That's what I would assume. And it changes their sensory system. It changes how their brain interprets how their teeth hit. We're going to see strength gains, not because there's necessarily a strength gain, but because the position of the body neurologically is in a position where it can produce better force. So that's why that happens. And it's so interesting because like they actually banned in professional golf dental appliances unless it's custom. But if somebody gets a custom made appliance, like that appliance, if it's done right, is going to help them. So they banned like any of those types of appliances because they noticed people were hitting the ball stronger, faster, longer. So there's a reason for that. The PGA doesn't necessarily know why. They just didn't like it. But it's just because you're balancing somebody's dental occlusion which is going to immediately change their entire nervous system and their neurological position in their body, which is going to help them. And not every single person will have that sort of a change, but a lot of people will. A lot of people. And when it comes to chronic pain, somebody who is suffering, you give them a new, if especially like a patient I saw yesterday, she had like 6 teeth pulled. I'm going to have her get implants and eventually get a dental appliance. So we're balancing her bite. It's going to change how she feels completely in her body. Her pain's going to decrease. All her tension's going to change. She's going to feel like a different human because you're changing the sensory system.
Wow, we approach pain so poorly in this country.
Yeah.
We say we mute the pain. We want to get rid of the pain. What is the pain informing? It's wild. And who do you think has access to this intellectual work? Maybe like 0.0001% of the population.
No, especially in dentistry, I feel like they just patent these things and they don't really know the details. I mean, from a body perspective, they understand the details from a dental perspective. It's not the same as understanding what's happening at the, I don't know, tibialis posterior, for example, the knee, the hips. You know, people, I don't think dentists really understand that part. They think that they're just impacting here and they think there's a correlation to strength. They don't necessarily understand the specifics. There are some dentists out there, though, that are on it and learning. The same way biological dentistry is becoming more known. I think we're getting more dentists that are focused on understanding the mechanics of the body.
Yeah. I mean, even from like a beyond dentistry, just the way we deal with, again, when there's a malady or when the body is just like a car, when it's not performing the way we want it to, it's like, well, let's buff that dent out of the fender, as opposed to saying, well, like, why is our right turn radius impacted?
Right. Exactly.
And then, we're on the road to like whatever, being in a wheelchair or joint replacements or whatever. I could even make an argument for some of these neurological conditions that are just skyrocketing. Think about the physiology that allows the brain to drain from a lymphatic perspective. Oh,
well,
God.
for sure. Like I took a course in 2021 from the Institute from PRI about basal ganglia disorders like Parkinson's. And like there's certain dentition that you'll always see with a lot of Parkinson's patients, certain teeth structure where teeth are shifted in one direction. You can just tell. And it's just fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder chicken and the egg scenario in there. Do you have any insight on something like ALS? Or have you gotten to work with anybody with ALS?
I haven't worked with anybody with ALS, but I have worked with other people that have numerous like MS, different types of neurological conditions. And I will tell you, I have never seen somebody who has neurological conditions that doesn't have problems with dentistry, problems with vision, problems with both. And I'm not just talking about problems. Maybe they had surgical interventions in their youth that have pushed them towards a path of dis-ease, meaning, I'm just thinking of one patient specifically right now. She had her premolars pulled. She had a surgery for her back because she had scoliosis. So we could talk about that a little bit because the traditional approach to scoliosis is a little different than what we do. But she had this back surgery and she ended up, they didn't do the anesthesia right. She ended up going blind, half blind in one of her eyes. And then there was a lot of neurological issues post all of those complications. To me, that's not random. I don't think anything in health is random. I think she had, unfortunately, this traditional conventional care that went sour in her youth. So, I could talk about the scoliosis, I could talk about the premolars, but when we take out premolars in a child before braces, you're setting a child up for failure because their cranium, think of anyone with dentures or that lost all their teeth, everything shrinks in, comes together, and there's no expansion in the jaw. We need expansion. We need space in our body. And this can be detrimental for lifelong health. So that was one thing. And then the scoliosis, having surgery, it tells me that she wasn't treated properly back then. She was an older woman. think that they had the right care. But we see all the time with the proper breath work and looking at the proper nervous system regulatory modalities for a human, we see all the time that scoliosis can change. I'm not going to say reverse, but it can definitely change and get into a better position for that person. So, the conventional approach is like, here's a brace and have surgery. And it's like, the body doesn't need to be forced into any position. The body needs gentle pushing to get there on its own. And, I hear all the time, oh, I was 15, I developed scoliosis. Like, that's a breathing problem. That's a dominance in your brain problem. It's a hemispheric problem. Things can change, but putting you in a brace is not going to change it necessarily. Maybe it will stop it because you're forcing the body. So there's a lot of traditional approaches that I think are really problematic. And I think that that's why we have a society of not the only reason, but it's a huge reason as to why we have a society of chronic pain and disease.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a contributing factor. It's one most people are blind to. The teeth, breathing patterns. I could say a sleep hygiene protocol, postural. We don't look at those things first. It's such an afterthought, and it is the walking wounded, or those of us with Lyme and cancer and many surgeries and mold toxicity, out of sheer exhaustion, that usually find our way to the periphery, and we have these experiences, whether it's with my cranial sacral woman or whatever, that we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this thing I've been working on for 15 years was just fixed in a session or 2 sessions, by adjusting my breathing pattern. I remember in one of my many mold exposures, I was really, really struggling. Every morning I was like, I feel like I got hit by a semi truck. And I had started working with a guy here in Austin. This is probably a year and a half ago, who was a PRI guy. And we went through my warm up. He had me do these crawling warm-ups and rolling on the rib cage, and he's sitting on one side of me, and he's like, now reach over and point to the corner of the room. And I was like, dude, my brain right now is alive. What did you do? And he wasn't working on that spot. He wasn't working on that thing.
Yeah.
But it was like the whatever the rib cage expansion, whatever's pinched in my nervous system was like, it was like a switch. And I remember coming home to my girlfriend and being like, I don't know what happened, but I'm like, I feel like a rock star right now. It was so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it was so cool. What would you say for people listening to this podcast? Because I'm sure people are like, oh my God, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
What's my assessment? Where would I even know if something with my breath or my bite pattern or my gait or my visual field? What does this assessment look like? And if people are interested in doing some of this work, where would you have them go start doing some research?
Yeah, it's hard because there's not that many providers that are trained in looking at things out of the box. Most providers go to school, they get whatever, chiropractic, physical therapy, occupational therapy, I'm a certified athletic trainer. They get their education and then they're like, okay, great. And they don't necessarily go into further education. I think vetting your provider is extremely important. You have to do research or get a provider from somebody who has already experienced it. You want to make sure you have a referral. I do this specific modality, postural restoration. They have a website. They have a provider map. Not every provider is the same. Not every provider has taken the same amount of courses. So this is the downfall, is that there's not many people that do the continuing education. There's not many people that go all the way in. And, I'm starting to study a little bit more applied kinesiology right now. And I've noticed the same thing. It's some people go all the way in and want to learn it all the way. Some people don't. That's just the nature of humanity. So you're going to have to vet for yourself and advocate for yourself. You want to find a functional medicine doctor, you're going to have to advocate for yourself to find yourself a good one. It's hard to find great physicians. I know from my own experience. I now, have a couple really close friends that are phenomenal. But that was after a couple burns in my story. And I've heard of it from patients. I spent $3,000 on this and it sucked. And, You have to really, my biggest thing is get a recommendation from somebody that you know. Go online on those moms Facebook groups. Those things are gems. You're going to find really good insight there. For what I try to do personally, my Instagram is a huge free educational platform. I try to give as much free education on Instagram as I can to
You do
get
a
the
great
word
job.
out. Thank
Great
you.
job.
It's a
Yep.
lot of work. And I do have like my ebook on shoes will always be free. I have a summer shoe list, a hiking shoe list, and a essential shoe list. The essential shoe list I use every single day with all my patients. It's the lowest hanging fruit. Those will always be free for the public because I believe that everybody should have the education about what to wear on their feet and why in order for them to just start feeling better. And most people will feel a difference. Some people won't. Those people usually are cranial patients. But I try my best to put as much out there as I can. I have some products on, my website to try and get people to get the information. It's hard information. It's taken me years to learn it. It's not something I could just tell you all in 1 hour. Even when somebody comes to see me, my 1 hour, I'm not telling you my entire education. So it's going to take some time. You have to advocate for yourself. The biggest thing in finding a right provider is doing the right research for yourself, your kids, etc.
Do people ever fly you out to see them?
I have, well, kind of once in California. I am open to doing that. I'm always open. I have had one offer to Mexico. I haven't done it yet, and one to Florida. But we haven't figured that out yet. I've had a lot of people fly to me. So the furthest somebody came to see me, which I still think is so cool, was Kuwait. That was cool. But I've had a lot of people come from London. I've had people come from Ireland. I've had people come from all over the US, definitely Canada. Canada does not have many providers. So they're always looking. And yeah, if anybody wants to fly me out to work on them, for sure, I'm open to doing that.
And I'll tell you this I have a head list of when I do my first like retreat and like what I want to do. Like there's going to be an enormous it's going to be the best food people ate because I'm going to cook. I'm going to make paleo muffins and paleo
Oh my
muffin
God.
pie and like just like we're going to have like grass-fed meat right from
I
Texas.
love
I have the
it.
farm. I have all the things in my head. And then I have like the experience I want people to do is the majority of it is like connection and play.
Yeah.
And we'll do some education, but it's really about the connection. And then I want people to go through a series like you're a pillar that I'm going to
Yeah.
ask to be there when I do it because I want people to go through, have an assessment, get a little. It's almost like you're going to take your matrix view on people.
Yeah.
I have my friend Coach Tara Garrison is going to come. She's going to do muscles and fitness.
Love it.
Yeah. I have like a running list in my head, but just keep that in your memory bank
I
because
will.
I have a couple of friends with ranches out here. They're like, oh, we have like 5 houses. Like this is going to be
That's
so great.
perfect.
It's going to be so great. And I'm going to bring all the tools, all the
Yeah, I
flow
know you will.
pressos and the oxygen baths and the amp coils and the red lights. And we have a exosome provider.
Oh,
And
I've
we
just
have one in
recently
Austin.
did
We have
that.
one in Dallas that has a new version of an exosome, 3D exosomes, which they're grown in a 3D environment. So they have more information packets on the exosome. So they're affordable. This is the other thing is like, I'm so frugal. And like, this
Well,
is like they're fundraising to get it to cost. Like,
that's so cool.
yes. Yeah.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
had this thing. I'm like, we're doing exosomes. Everybody's I want people to go through and be like, I feel incredible, or I want to give people like some type of a money back guarantee.
Sure. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what's really cool about what I do is that we're all internally asymmetrical the same way. We all
Mm.
have 3 lobes of lung on the right side, 2 on the left. We all have a liver on the right side. We all have a heart that's sitting more towards the left in our chest wall. So we actually, when I start my patients off, like first session, I pretty much do the same 6 techniques. And so I have like an online, very little $50 course that has those 6 techniques. So like when I teach a class, like I'll do classes, breathing classes, I'll start with basics. Obviously, when it gets a little more specific, that's different. But everybody needs the same basics. We all need that. And breathing is such a key pillar in just health and feeling good. And most of the time, people don't even know how to breathe well. So I just start there with people, and it's crazy how good people can feel.
Do you
Like,
know what else is asymmetric on the inside?
what?
The lymphatic system.
That makes sense.
The right side is served by 30%. The trunk is only 30% of the body. The left side is 70%.
Interesting. That's
I
really
know.
interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
no, we're
I
completely
love the
asymmetrical.
body. It's fascinating.
The hemispheres of the brain are very asymmetrical, extremely asymmetrical. The body's amazing. I'm like, I know I'm doing like what I'm meant to do. Like I always thought the human body was amazing. I was like a 5-year-old being like, the brain looks so cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. You should definitely do that retreat. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
It'll be birth. It's gonna take a little time, but I have some really outside of the box ideas around it.
Yeah. Well,
As far as
I'm into it.
deliverables and experience.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, but you're gonna be there.
I'm so excited. I will be there and I will eat the grass-fed steak.
We'll be sure to link some of the resources you mentioned, like the shoe guide, and I
Yeah.
think the 6 techniques you do with everybody for the breathing. I think that's great. I want to talk a little bit about your health journey because I remember when we first talked, we were talking about, I think you told me you had done an amp coil session, right? Or you knew somebody
I
with an
think
amp coil device.
yes. Oh my God. When did I meet you? I don't remember.
This is
I did an amp
this is
coil
like
session
2021.
and I love the amp coil still to this day. I love the amp coil. Every time I'm in Florida and I go to my friend Dr. Jess's house, I'm like, where's your amp coil? She like has it out and I'm like, let me have that. I want it every night. So it's like mine when I go there. I think, okay, so my health journey is quite interesting. I've been able to trace it all back to when I was a child. I was born 3 weeks late and meconium aspiration. My poor mom was probably terrified, but I just never she never really went into labor. So I was just chilling. There was probably something wrong going on there. So my first breath into the world was filled with antibiotics because I was sick. I was in the NICU. And so I look back at that and I know from what I know that start in the world was that put my nervous system into a lot of distress. And starting around 2 months old, I had full body eczema until, it ebbed and flowed until I was about in my 20s, mid 20s, 25, when I cut out gluten and dairy. And that was my first break of eczema. So I pretty much had it in the depth of winter and in the depth of summer. But getting tan was always helpful for me. So I always loved the beach. And I was always like anti using sunscreen, even when I was like young, and I will use some mineral based sunscreen now if I need to, but I also do get dark and I don't really burn. But getting tan for me was the only relief I ever had for my eczema. I mean, I used tons of different creams and lotions and all that. And it wasn't until I was actually an athlete and I was like, oh, I'll cut gluten and dairy. Let me see if it makes me a better athlete. And then I cut dairy out for 3 days and I ate a yogurt and I was like in excruciating stomach pain. And I was like, okay, guess I can't eat that. So I learned about that. Now I actually can eat gluten and dairy and I'm pretty good. It doesn't really impact me. I'm fine. I've done a lot of healing though. I'd say like, I think of like my childhood. I struggled with ADHD. I struggled with focus. I was super hyperactive. I struggled with school, hated the school system. So I was always a little bit rebellious in that way because I just felt like if I don't want to know math, like why do I have to learn it? I think my health journey started more when I had graduated graduate school and I started becoming an athlete. So I grew up, I was a gymnast, and then I ended up transitioning to do Olympic weightlifting. So in my 20s, I was really into Olympic weightlifting, early 20s, like 21, 22. Started competing as a 53 kilo weightlifter, which is about 116 pounds. Competed in that for a few years. And because I was a gymnast, I did one bodybuilding show. I was already like in all these weight class type mindsets. And so
Mm.
I had dieted a lot up and down for like years of my life. And I was decided to go down to the 48 kilo weight class. This was like 2017, 2018 around. I was like, I'm going to go down to the 48 kilo weight class, which mind you is 105 pounds. And I was like, I could do it. I've been 110 before, and you can water cut 5 pounds off. And if I was able to successfully get to that 48 weight class, I probably would have been extremely successful in that weight class, except for the fact that my hormones and my body was like, no. So I was, trying to lift super heavy weights, and I just like stopped sleeping. I was really struggling, decided to stop doing the weight cut because I wasn't really even losing weight, and just add in a little more food. And I like gained a lot of weight. And it was not the right time. I decided to take a break from weightlifting. I had a functional medicine, in quotes, functional medicine doctor who was not a real functional medicine doctor, who was not
I've had
great.
those.
Yeah. She was like, why do you eat dairy? It's going to blow you up. And then she said something to me like, well, if you keep lifting like this, you're never going to have a child. And that was just like a huge slap in the face while I was like a nationally qualified Olympic
Quite a
weightlifter.
statement.
Quite a statement to tell a 23-year-old.
Quite a statement.
So I literally hit 2 PRs in the gym and quit weightlifting. Not quit thinking that I'm never going to do it again, but quit thinking that I need 3 months off to get my hormones in check. I thought I could do it in like 6 weeks to 3 months. Yeah, right. It took about 4 years to get my hormones back into check, maybe 5. And during that process, I saw functional medicine doctors. I had all different journeys, learning about different supplements, being super sensitive to the majority of things I ever tried. I did a lot of acupuncture. And eventually I stayed away from any supplements that I had reactions to. Eventually I did a parasite cleanse. This is like, I became more educated. And I feel like a lot of what I tell my patients with things is because of my own experience, because I now see the world clearly. I see what works. I see what doesn't work. I can read through the BS out there. And I was able to heal myself. I was on a thyroid med for a little bit, got off that, took LDN. I had a horrible reaction to that. Like, just had a lot of reactions to things. Couldn't take GABA. I mean, eventually.
What was your reaction to low dose naltrexone?
Every single reaction I've ever had is not sleeping. So I'll just be up wired, like, boom, just like zinged up at night, just not sleep. And yeah, I mean, GABA, genetically, I cannot take GABA. I was really glad that functional medicine doctor ran my genes, didn't know how to interpret it, still put me on GABA. And I cannot take GABA. I physically cannot make GABA into I turn GABA into glutamate, so I will not sleep. So that was like 36 hours I didn't sleep. It was crazy. So I learned a lot from these experiences. And then I kind of took my health into my own hands. I was like, I'm not going to use, I don't want any help from these providers that are going to put me on supplements. I'm so sensitive. And just with time, like, things got better. I did go hiking in March of last year. And I did I did some bioresonance scan, and it picked up that I had Lyme, and I was very out of it and tired. Healed that with homeopathy, did some desk bio. And, I just kind of have learned through mistakes, and have learned also through, I've made a lot of friends in the industry, and I trust my friends. And now, I function great. I feel great. I'm not tired. I have a lot of energy. I love working. I don't think I struggle. I can take a lot more supplements. I also know my genetics. I know what I can take and what I can't take. And I have sensitive genes, really sensitive genes. And I think antibiotics as a kid, the V word as a child, growing up as a child, I think all of that stuff was too much on my system. And so I really feel for my patients that are sensitive. A lot of people are sensitive, and the regular conventional system just ignores them or tells them they're crazy. And they're not crazy. They're just sensitive. They usually have a genetic panel that's complicated. They've usually had big T and little t trauma, and they have stories and lives. And when I look back at myself, sometimes I see myself in my patients, sometimes I don't. And sometimes I think I can really relate to the people in front of me based off my story and who I am. So That's kind
Yeah.
of my health story. I was able to heal the thyroid stuff naturally. I was able to heal everything naturally, did some parasite cleanses that changed my life. And that's it. I'm a huge fan of natural medicine when done properly. Sometimes functional medicine doctors don't know, what they're doing. You always have to advocate and find the right provider. In New
Yeah.
York, I send people to naturopaths and some online physicians that I trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It really is it really is the wild, wild west in the
Yeah.
functional bioregulatory medicine. But I have both instances. I have many instances of complete incompetence or gross negligence, and then I have instances of just ego inflated grandiosity where people
Yeah.
are telling me that it's $10,000 or $3,000 to interpret labs, which cost $200. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some of the best authors in the space right now. I'm like, I can't believe this person is platformed right now. But I really think it's a great time to again use this phrase: radical ownership of your health, radical
Yeah.
responsibility. You're not going to find, to the left or the right. Oh, isn't it funny right now? Like resolve. It's really going to be
Mm-hmm.
like I think health is really an internal job.
Yeah.
Can you say the other thing, if you're willing to talk about it? I watched a video of you, like, I don't know, 8 months ago, 9 months ago. You were crying on Instagram. You were
I was.
doing, you were. I mean, you had
What
a
I did.
moment where I could, maybe you weren't crying, but you had a moment and was like, I'm like, I gotta call her right now. I was like, she
Okay.
needs a hug, and I did call you. You were doing PRP on your scalp.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was very, it was not, I don't think it was the pain, but you were emotional. You were having an emotional response to the treatment. Can you talk about the PRP
Oh
that you
my
did a little
God.
bit? And exosomes, maybe?
So interesting with PRP. So my friend does it for me. She's
Uh-huh.
amazing. She's in Florida, Largo, Florida. There's a really great clinic there. I
Yeah.
can send you the name to it. It's called Orthomolecular, and they
Uh-huh.
have great prices. They do stem cells. They do all that stuff. And I did it for hair growth. It probably tripled my hair growth. Not
No
growth,
way.
sorry, thickness. Yeah, it
Thickness.
worked insane. PRP is painful.
Yes.
It's super painful, and I knew it was going to be painful, but I was like, I'll be fine. Now, women have cycles. I just happened the 2 times I've done PRP, both times I happen to do it. It just happens that I'm flying into Florida to do PRP the day I get my period, and it's unfortunate because you are way more sensitive on that day and like throughout your cycle than any other time of the month. So, and just so happens that the 2 times I did it, I had not slept the night before. So the last time I actually put a LifeWave patch on, LifeWave, I
Mm-hmm.
put an X39 patch on because they help with hair growth. And I was like, oh, I'll put it on at 5 p.m. I'll be fine. Little did I know that I would be up all night because LifeWave patch is really powerful. So I only
Yeah.
got 1 hour of sleep before doing my 2 PRP. I think I was probably like worked up because you could probably see that I was like had teared up, but um it was it's so powerful. Like it works. And I've
Yeah.
struggled with really like thinner hair, and I've
Yeah,
always
your hair
wanted
looks
thicker
amazing.
hair. Thank you. It's like
Amazing.
crazy because my whole life I've wanted thicker hair, and it's not like the thickest hair, but it's thicker. I'm
Yeah.
doing it again in a month. It is very painful to do your entire head with PRP. My friend does it and she like tries to make me laugh, and I'm just like, I can't. I'm just like in so much pain. But she
Yeah.
did numb me, and the first time we numbed me with the lidocaine, and then the second time we numbed me with Procaine, which was what I asked for. But I actually had a reaction to being numb with Procaine, and I didn't really get numb. It was weird. So I think my
Mm.
body is super sensitive. So I think the next time we're just not going to numb because at this point, like, it doesn't even fully work. Like the lidocaine did work, but yeah. So I am a huge fan of PRP and stem cells though. Like, yes, it's painful, but like 1 to 2 hours of pain is worth it to have this much hair growth that has impacted my confidence.
Yeah. I say that to people, this is it's so funny. People are always asking me what to do for hair. And I'm like, guys, no. You're like, what do you want? I'm going to shave it. Do whatever you want. But they're like, you're in the space. Who do you know? And I have a guy, Faraz Khan here in Austin, who makes an excellent system. They have exosomes in their serum. And then he has a really high-end derma roller. And then he's got 2 types of a shampoo, which are arguably, like, if you look at all the things that market from the Hims platform, and
Yeah.
it's fine. This is like really, really high end.
Well, you have
And
to send me this.
everybody that I've sent over, and I just like put you on I'm like, he hates me because I'm like, hey, this is Bobby, this is Tim, this is Dan. And I'm like, just talk to him. He'll tell you what to do. I should send him the website. I think it's called Fully Vital, fullyvital.com. But Faraz is like the guy, right? And he will be the one to tell you, he's like, look, these things all work, but you're going to have a varying degree of what's your ROI. He's like, if you want to go overseas right now and you want to go to Turkey and spend like $5,000, you will have like the fullest head of hair doing microtransplants. And you'll never get that from PRP or a cream or a minoxidil or finance. You'll never get it.
Yeah.
So do you want, and it's like all up to the person, right? Do you want to be like, have a really intense surgery for a really short amount of time and then have Brad Pitt hair for the rest of your life? You still have to do the maintenance of the shampoo and the minoxidil and the thing, because you don't want to keep losing hair. So that's the thing. It's like, once you're in, you kind of got to commit to it. But it's really fascinating. My friends that have done PRP and exosomes have had like you, they're like, oh my God, it's 3 times as thick. It's 4 times as thick. It's crazy. It's a noticeable difference. My confidence is up. And that you will never get from a pill. You will never get from a cream. All the things that people market about, we'll ship it to your door, and they show these. I'm like, that's not real.
No, I mean, I did minoxidil from like the age of 15, 16. Like, I have always had thinner hair, but I tried it back then and nothing compared to this. What's crazy is all my friends and family notice. Like, people are like, your hair looks really good. And also it helps that I like went back to my like more natural color. So people really notice, because I used to think that if it was darker, it looked thicker. So I was always coloring it. Now I stopped coloring it. And so I like feeling more natural anyway. But it seriously works. Yes, it's painful. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's painful. But at the same time, like, it's an hour and a half of pain, an hour of pain. It doesn't hurt afterwards. You're not in pain after. It's great. The other thing, too, is you're right. The aftercare, like, that stuff is important. Like, I'm using shampoos that really clean my scalp so that it doesn't get oily, so it doesn't block the follicle from actually coming out of the hair. The follicles. You don't want that follicle blocked. You want the hair to be able to push out and more hairs to go through. From what I read, you can get up to 5 pieces of hair through one follicle. And after a while, if you lose 1 piece of hair and one doesn't grow back and you just lose all 5, that follicle is dead. So you can't so easily rejuvenate those follicles. But I think PRP is able to help with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want hair anymore. I like being bald.
I know, you're great like this. I like it.
I do too. I
actually can't imagine you with hair.
I would tell you what, though. I would like the opportunity to grow hair, just because I think it'd be funny if, like, for 6 months I had, like, I'd be like what
afro.
up, everybody? Yeah. I always wear an afro for Halloween.
Oh, man, that is so funny.
Always. I'm like, it's my one chance to wear hair. I would do it. I would go to Turkey to do it, simply to do a podcast on it. I could still shave my head. Totally. But I have so little hair now after, like, all the chemo, you, like, I worked really hard. I had a great head of hair before I got cancer, but I had a laser comb. This is like 2006.
Yeah.
I had like a red light comb.
You were super into it already. That's amazing.
It worked.
That's another thing. I have a red light hat that I do every single day. I've been so consistent on it. I use Extra Lux, and I can even send you my code for them.
Extra Lux.
Yeah, it's an amazing cap. They have 6-month guarantee. If it doesn't work, they will literally refund you.
That's awesome.
I did that for 6 months before I did the PRP, and I did notice some change.
You know what we could do? We should collaborate on a hair course.
We should.
We should totally do
Oh
it.
my
I have
God.
all the research, all the protocols, all the products. It's all
It's,
like lined out in a folder.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, no, now I'm like proof that it can work. It's crazy. I'm so, so grateful for it. I'm doing it again in November 10th, like a month from today. I'm like hating it that I have to do it again, but also it's okay. I see somebody I trust, and I'm going to sleep the night before. I'm not putting any life wave patches on my body. I'm going to sleep the night
Don't do
before.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be fine. So, but for people struggling, like I really think a good shampoo that really cleans your scalp and nothing with chemicals in it. Like I'm using something called holistic degreaser. It's
Yeah.
cheap on Amazon. It degreases your scalp, and it's really
Yeah.
been great. So,
So
I'm
fun.
a big fan of that. So, yeah.
So fun. I love it.
I love
Well,
it.
let's close it down in the interest of time. And I know you have
This was so
clients and
fun.
patients, and I'm going to go to the iLads conference in San Antonio
Oh, today?
today. Yep.
Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
Have the
I'm going to
best
have fun.
time.
We're going to bring some Flopressos down there and talk Lyme for a whole weekend.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, great. Enjoy.
Yeah, there's so much new stuff as far as diagnostic. Really, my friend Holly Ahern, who I'm gonna have on, they have like the next gen testing for Lyme disease, which she's like and they got it through the FDA and it's like all
That's
approved. So
awesome.
yeah, hopefully there'll be really good funding for this one too. Yeah, so we're gonna talk Lyme. I would love to have you back on.
I would love
There's
any time to have a conversation with you. I'm so happy.
Cool.
Makes me
I think
happy.
it's there's a lot of stuff, and we'll just plant that seed for the retreat. Beautifully Broken podcast. What does it mean to you to be beautifully broken?
It means to have resilience, to come back from something that has been difficult, and to have resilience through the entire process, despite having difficulties, because life is not meant to be easy. Life is meant to be difficult. Life is meant to challenge you. Life is meant to break you down so you can be built up. And the only way you can do that is through resilience.
Yeah. Amen. I'm going to send you an 11-minute podcast that I did this week that was out Monday about, I had a
Send it to
thought
me.
experiment about this. And it's really on my mind lately.
Send it to me.
If you could tune in everybody's phone to your channel right now, what's one thing you would tell people that you're seeing in the health space to like flag? Be like, guys, this is not something that I think is worth your time, your energy. What's something you get a little triggered by in the wellness space?
So maybe it's not as much in the wellness space, but it's in the space of society, I would say. The news, I think just try not to get so wrapped into the news. I think people in the wellness space do it too, with right versus left. I think the more we're wrapped up in what we think is going on in society, the more it takes us away from our true self. And this is something that I'm struggling with too. And I'm really focusing in on to just be my true, genuine self and be there for myself and not away and tending my energy to what I'm seeing on Instagram and on reels and things that I don't even know if they're true. I don't know what the truth is. I might never know. So not bring your attention back in towards yourself, because you only have you. And it could go for people in the wellness space. It could go for really anybody. But I think people get really fixated on things happening in the world. We don't know if it's true. We don't know what's really true. So all you can do is fixate on yourself and your relationships and your interpersonal skills and the people you work with and the people you help. And that, I think, is really important in having the fullest life.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
I have one more question for you. Just because we got you on the call. So if you could tune everybody into your channel, what would be one thing you would love people to do for their posture daily that they may not be attending to at this time?
Go on a walk and swing your arms. That's it. That's the most important thing. I mean, wear a good shoe while you do it too, but going on a walk, swinging your arms, not looking at your cell phone, not looking down, looking out in the distance, that is going to be one of the best free. You could do it outside with the sun, right? Those are the best free tips I can give people. And that's also what I tell all my patients. Go on a walk, swing your arms, don't hold something in one arm, don't look down at your phone, be present with yourself, be in the sun. Those are like, to me, the utmost importance.
Beautiful. Thank you for being a guest on the Beautifully Broken podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Big love.